Hello, friends. Welcome back from a very nice break in the proceedings. It was spring break last week, so we are officially in the downward trajectory known as the last portion of the semester. I don't know about you, but I took off a lot of spring break, and it was gloriously relaxing. I actually finished 2 series I've been meaning to watch, and I've been plowing through a novel I've been reading for a little bit. It was all about me time, folks. I needed it. How about you? As usual, here's the weekly announcement, just so you can tell that there actually is a weekly announcement. Be sure to read through it and see all the lovely links that you need, like this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this attachment here, and this attachment here, and, the link to the YouTube video that you're watching now and all the different chapter listings. They're there. I'm a giver. It's what I do. So anyway, once you go through this and understand that, yes, indeed, I actually am giving you information, even if you're not reading it, I'd like you to go back to the main page and click on over here, the 102 Masterclass Schedule. So that way you can see that, yes, there is a whole bunch of stuff that you can be looking at. As you can see, spring break just finished, and now here we are in week number 5. We have 2 things to go over with today. And then we only have 1 assignment for the week, which isn't a small assignment, so don't mistake 1 for small, okay? So, let's get started by going to what is CSET? Perfect. So here we introduce, or if you had me or other teachers like me in English 101, reintroduce the idea of source material being integrated into your writing by a 4-step process known as CSET. Very quickly, a little history. Now, I think every single English teacher who's ever taught writing has their own way of teaching students how to integrate source material, because we've all seen how terrible it can truly be when they don't care. When you, the student writer, just copies and pastes the material from the source, there really isn't a lot of integration. It's just slap this in and move on. It never works. So instructors like Dr. Bill Lewis from the University of Delaware created a catchy and pithy way to explain the steps needed to really work in your material. Now, my own method also had 4 steps, which were practically identical to this, but I named mine the Shun method, but that's a story for another time, folks. So knowing that pretty much every English teacher ever has had a version of this method, what is CSET? Well, as I told you, Dr. Bill Lewis from the University of Delaware kind of put, a face to the name here and made CSET a national idea. So, CSET stands for Claim, Setup, Evidence, and Tie-in. It prevents you from just smacking material in and moving on. It weaves the information and the external resources and your own ideas together to create a readable paper. So let's check each section out really quickly. Shall we? Claim is literally what you are trying to prove with the section you're writing. Now, it is usually the topic sentence, the first sentence in the paragraph that tells your reader exactly what the remainder of the paragraph will include. Sometimes the claim will be focused on a subpoint, but that's usually not all that often. Your claim is going to be the major idea that supports the thesis statement up top. So your claim is kind of like, a sergeant, whereas the thesis statement is the general, okay? So as you're going through this, you might have several claims, and you will. So each one of those claims should work together to support that thesis statement. Regardless of what's happening, the claim will show you and the reader what you are trying to prove, and they will assure that the information coming next will support whatever your claim is, okay? Next, your setup. Literally the material to introduce your source material to the reader. The material to introduce your material. That's repetitive, but it makes sense. It usually includes the source material's main rhetorical information. Now that's the source material's author and title, as well as the date of publication. Now, after that, you can add whatever you'd like here to fully flesh out and underline the credibility of the source. You can add the year or date of update. If it was published in 1999, but it's been updated like last week, that's actually pretty good to note. The author's education or employment credentials are also very important here. So if you can find a quick Google search result that says that your author has a doctorate in this, or they worked for a long time with this company, or they were part of the government task force on this, that's also very helpful here. You can also tell me about the source material's credibility, where it was published, how it was published, when it was published, academic journals, websites, anything that helps out to tell your reader, hey, what you're about to see isn't just some crazy idea. It's actually backed up by all of this reputation. This is also where many writers choose to establish the beginning of the citation by dropping the author's name and year. Sound good? Evidence is the easy part because you've been doing this over and over since junior high. This is where you either provide your direct quote or, better yet, your paraphrase of the material. It's a very smart idea to use paraphrase more than direct quote because with a paraphrase, you can direct your ideas in your own words rather than go back and forth with another author's direction and wording. Your goal is to explain the material in your own words so that your reader can see cohesiveness throughout your paper. Finally, we have tie-in, which, in my opinion, is the most important part of the process. Now, in my 4-step process, I used to call this part explanation, and it's literally the same thing. How does this material connect to the thesis that you've established? How does it connect to the overall flow of the paper? How does this specific paraphrase, or direct quote, but it should be a paraphrase, affect the argument of the paper in general, and why was it important enough to include with the explanation of the point set forth in the claim? So what I mean by all of that, if that's not clear enough, it's not good enough just to say, well, here's my evidence. Tell your reader why that evidence was so necessary to put in your paper. Tell your reader why this evidence connects to this claim. Tell your reader why this evidence supports this claim, which in turn supports the thesis statement at the top of your paper. Okay? Your tie-in can be a huge part of your paper, or it can be a huge failure if you underestimate how much information has to go in there. Okay? So, claim, setup, evidence, and tie-in. Now that we've talked about it, I will hold you accountable for it. So please, if you have questions, reach out. On the next page, writing samples with and without CSET. Here we go. These are just examples of how much difference it does make. Now, obviously, anybody with half a brain can look at this and say, oh, well, paragraph 1 is short. Paragraph 2 is longer. Without even reading this, paragraph 2 probably is what he wants. Hey, very good. But here's the reason why. If you take a look at this really quickly, you will see basically your claim here, which is very brief and doesn't really do much. And then we have a direct quote, a citation, a direct quote, a citation, and then we're done. That's it. There's nothing else there. There's nothing to connect these two quotes except for the fact that one comes after the other. So down here in paragraph 2, now we have our claim again, which I believe is the exact same claim up here. They just changed it slightly. It's the same basic principle. But then we have a little bit of information to start and a transition. Okay, great. Then we have our direct quote and our citation, but then we have a reason why this is so important, leading into our next setup, and then our next piece of evidence, and then our final tie-in. Tie-in. So here, it's a much more comprehensive paragraph. Down here, you can go through and take a look at the CSET blocks, if you'd like. Kind of shows you exactly what all this means. Because honestly, the majority of you would probably do claim, setup, and evidence, and then ignore the tie-in. But take a look at just how much this tie-in matters. Look at how much of the paragraph this tie-in really works with. And then the sample paragraph down here kind of underlines it a little bit more. It's color-coded. Claim is burgundy. Setup is blue. Evidence is green. Tie-in is purple. And as you can see, we have multiple setups, multiple pieces of evidence, and multiple tie-ins. That's okay. One claim, though. But the rest can actually focus on that one, okay? It's not just this one. I have attached this to your announcement as well, and two wonderful colleagues made this up, Mrs. Judy Byers and Mrs. Stephanie Jeffrey, and they created this, and really, I have one major complaint, is the fact that they used pink and purple, and every semester somebody tries to argue that this is actually purple, and this is like lilac or violet or something. No, that's pink, that's blue, that's green, that's purple. Just shut up, okay? So the claim is the pink, and as you can see, there's only one claim here. But here, we go with a setup. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of setup. We have evidence is green. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of evidence. And a tie-in, it's a little bit different. We have 1, 2, and then a major tie-in at the end that takes into count both of these pieces of evidence. Okay? So everything you see here will explain exactly what the claim is, what the setup is, what the evidence is, and what the tie-in is. I would highly recommend taking a look at this and really understanding it on your own. Now that we've gone through that, let's talk about the actual loan assignment this week. The Unit 2 in Comparative Research Essay Writing Graphical Organizer. That's a lot of words for just saying, do an organizer. So clicking on this, you go into here, and as always, I have your organizer linked very first thing. So click on this, and you will get this. Take your time and do this right. Do not start this at 10:30 on Sunday night knowing it's due in an hour and a half, okay? Start this early, please. So, this first block, general topic and preliminary thesis statement, these are just going to kind of focus you. What are you currently feeling about your topic? What's your idea about your topic? That's a statement, a declarative sentence. I make that point clear because here in the introduction, you have your attention getter or your hook to make sure that your reader understands that what you're about to show them is important. So by illustrating that very clearly to your reader, you're going to be able to get their attention. Explanation of controversy is the next block down. That's going to be you explaining to your reader and possibly yourself why your topic is debatable and important, why it's arguable, okay? This is going to help you really understand if you are on the right direction with your topic. If you are struggling to find why it's debatable, you better contact me as soon as humanly possible. Then we have a thesis question. Please note that this is a question. It ends with a question mark. It is an introduction to your argument as a whole. What beginning question can you ask when your previously stated thesis statement becomes one possible logical answer? So for me, I keep writing about should the governments of the world come together with Interpol to create an international cyber police task force. So that would be my question, right? Should they do that? Should all these countries, instead of working on their own, should they actually come together and do this, as a group? So that question means there could be many possible answers, one of which should be your thesis statement. Make sense? Good. Here's another bonus. If I read your introduction And it does not end with a thesis question. You will not be getting a good grade because I know that if you ignored this part, you've most likely ignored the rest of the paper as well. So, focus, okay? Your next section is going to be the background section, and it's a very quick and easy paragraph. You're going to show me the rhetorical information for your authors. The articles. Title of the article, the names of the authors, year of publication or update, the major purpose. Remember, think of PIE, P-I-E, persuade, inform, entertain. Is this article trying to persuade their readers to do or think something? Is it trying to inform their readers of something? Is it trying to entertain you by making you angry, sad, happy, excited, whatever? And then what is the main idea? What is the thesis statement? And maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 of the topic sentences. This information here will help you understand the articles all better, okay? Once you're done that, then you're going to say, okay, what are some pieces of information that your readers might not know, but really need to know to understand the overall argument? Remember, your readers are most likely ignorant of your topic. Your topic is yours. So help your readers understand it a little bit better by giving them information. Nobody likes to feel stupid. And then, what sort of key concepts or shared information is there between these two articles that you can bring up? Because that goes into the comparing perspectives section. Here, it's 2 paragraphs minimum. Do not put both of these in the same paragraph. 2 paragraphs minimum. So, in the last organizer that you guys did, where you had to come up with the different questions that related to both of your articles, you had 3. I want you to pick your 2 strongest. Your first paragraph is going to be the first. The second paragraph is going to be the second. Here's where you're going to illustrate what is one thing that both of your articles discuss, probably in different directions. Then, what came from the first article? What came from the second article to support this question or point? And then finally, kind of give me a little bit of a tie-in. What do both of these authors and articles bring to the table in regards to this first question? How does it possibly take you in a new direction? You're going to do that for this article and this article, okay? So this point and this point. Twice, 2 paragraphs. Then we get down to probably my most favorite paragraph of the entire semester of any assignment that you do, the exploratory synthesis. As you can see here, it's 1 paragraph minimum, which means do not combine it with any other paragraph. If you need to go into detail, use 2 or 3 paragraphs. That's fine. Just make sure they're 2 or 3 well-written paragraphs, not 2 or 3 short and stubby ones, okay? So, what are the thoughts on your argument? What did you think about this prior to doing your research? What sort of emotional understanding did you have? Then, how did your ideas change? Did you completely change your mind? Did you slightly change your mind in a certain direction? Did you really lock into what you believed before because now you know that you're absolutely right? That's going to be the evolution of ideas. Your personal experience. Give me information to tell me how you might actually have a personal connection to your topic. Now, having said that, if you are writing about a very personal topic that has some very dark memories, let's say, maybe it's drug addiction, maybe it's sexual abuse, things like that, I am not for 1 second requiring you to open up and turn this into a therapy session. I swear I'm not. You write what you're comfortable writing here. And for some of you, you picked a topic that you have absolutely no personal connection with whatsoever, rather than just, I thought it sounded cool. That's fine. No problems. But do not think for a second I'm going to force you to unearth some deep pain that you have been dealing with, okay? That's not my goal here. And then, further research needed. What additional information do you think you will need to find to strengthen one side of the argument or the other? What additional information do you think you will need to find in order to weaken one side of the argument or the other? Okay? So this paragraph or section here, it's so important because it shows me your connection, your thoughts, your critical thinking abilities. Okay? Then we have our conclusion. So, considering the information that you've presented, what do you want your readers to know, to see, or to do? What do you want them to understand? What do you want them to digest? What do you want them to, get out there and participate in? Okay? And then finally, all the way up here in this introduction, we had a thesis question. And now I want you to answer that thesis question right down here in this block to provide your thesis statement. Okay? That's it. Then, of course, put your 2 references right here. Once again, I have linked the APA documentation for the OWL right here, the Purdue OWL. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. That's it, folks. It was not the shortest video. It's just over 21 minutes. But there was a lot to get through again. It was very important, and I spent a bulk of the time on the Unit 2 organizers, so you'd be kind of foolish to ignore that. Anyway, if you have questions, reach out early because I'm going to shut up now. I hope everyone has a great week back. Again, questions, email me early. Do not get me on Friday or Saturday or Sunday. Enjoy the slowly warming weather. See ya.